at my local Usra here in Aylesbury, we were looking at the fiqh of a Muslim minority. I hope you can see my screen. So we were looking at the fiqh with the Muslim minority, and that was we had a discussion about this topic. How do you respond to an invitation from a non-Muslim, where you know that maybe there will be haram items on the table, and there was a specific hadith from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that actually discouraged us from sitting at a table where there is a haram thing. So this then spurred that discussion, and I felt that it will be useful for us to be here to share this idea, for me to widen the discussion to address more points, and that's why I did this presentation a couple of weeks ago. So let me begin with a situation every one of us has faced, or for those who are still young, who are coming up, they will face this. So let's say it's a Friday afternoon and one of your colleagues at work stops and says, stop by your desk and says, we're having a little get-together on Saturday, tomorrow. Love you to come around. Or let's assume this person is your neighbor. So you're outside and says, oh, by the way, we're having a little barbecue tomorrow, and we are inviting the people around the neighbor. Please come around. In that moment, two things arises in your chest, in your thoughts, at the same time. First of all, you feel honored by such an invitation that they actually thought you valuable enough to join them. The second is you feel a little bit worried because you already know that there will be wine on the table, there will be situation, there might be discussions, there might be things. So there's that part of your mind that will say, hang on, what am I going to work myself into? So this afternoon, I want us to think through that moment properly. So not with a knee-jerk reaction, no, haram, straight away, and not with a careless, yes, I'm happy, I'm now part of the community, but with what I would call, borrowing from my friend Nuruddin Lemo, let us apply some Sharia intelligence. So let us understand not just what the ruling is, but what the ruling is for. Because there are two different things. The ruling is there, but how is it applicable to situation? You cannot just pick up a hadith and then apply it and you say you have become a scholar, or you are now in the know of everything. So this hadith is the bedrock of this discussion, is in the center of this discussion. So let us put the text of this hadith to test. So everything that we discuss today is going to be resting on this hadith. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, it is not lawful for a man who believes in Allah and the last day to sit at a table upon which wine is being circulated. It is not lawful for a man who believes in Allah and the last day to sit at a table upon which wine is being circulated. So two words is important here. Are we going to emphasize on, the table? Okay. And are we going to emphasize on, it's being shared? I want us to notice, first of all, that the Prophet was addressing not the scholar, not the imam. He said, for every man, and that includes every woman, and that includes every boy and girl, that includes every one of us, anybody who calls himself a Muslim. The one who believes in Allah is a Muslim. and who believes that there's a day of judgment is a Muslim. And these are the people the Prophet is addressing. So this is applicable to all of us. You can't escape it. You can't say that's addressed to scholars, that's addressed to, the imams. Secondly, the word Ma'idah, it refers to a table. Now, you could want to justify yourself by saying, that's a table. So we will be looking at this question. Is it literally about the table? Because I can have a table with Moshood Bello sitting beside me, Brother Suleiman there, Dr. Balogun there, Brother Ismail there, and our wives there. We can have our own seat, our own gathering there. Or is this actually a metaphor for a gathering? Thirdly, the word yudaru, that means being circulated, being passed around. It's not necessarily about wine sitting on the table. It is something that is flowing around. What if on our own table, it was not flowing around? What if on our own table, there's no bottle of wine there? So this is the text of the hadith, and it is authentic. So we are not going to be denial. Perhaps that hadith is questionable. No, it is authentic because it is graded by as Hasan, as good, and reported through different pathways. So it is also serious because the Prophet said, if you believe in Allah and you believe in the last day. Otherwise, if you don't believe in Allah and the last day, then go ahead and do anything you like. But if you really believe in Allah, then you have to take this serious. So we will not explain it away and just try to justify what we desire. You have to take this serious, ponder over it, and consider how you react to it. And that's why we're having this discussion. So what we'll do, inshallah, is to understand the way the scholars have understood this hadith. So let us name the core of the issues. There are three forces pulling at us in just this one invitation. There are three tensions that we have. First of all, the relationship. Islam did not treat neighbors as some sort of social niceties. It's not just, oh yeah, respect your neighbors. Islam is not, the way the Prophet treated neighbors, it is not just casual. Your neighbor, they're very, very important part of your life. And therefore, the neighbor's invitation is a serious invitation. The Prophet ﷺ said Jibril came to him. These are hadith. He said Jibril came to him and was emphasizing the right of the neighbor to him, so much so that the Prophet ﷺ feared that Jibril was going to say, by the way, your neighbors are also going to inherit from you. That's how serious Jibril was talking about the neighbor. He felt Jibril was going to conclude that the neighbor will also inherit from you. That's how close they are to you. So the neighbor is not someone you just dismiss, not the way many of us treat our neighbors. The neighbor should be part of your life. Remember, the Prophet ﷺ said, if any of you buy something for a toy or something for your children and you bring it home, do you not allow your children to go and play with it outside or to take it outside? Because then the neighbors will see and they don't have part of it. He said, if you cook food in your house and it is smelling so nice and it goes out into the neighborhood, you should invite your neighbors or you should give some to your neighbors. That's how important your neighbors are to you. So, secondly, we have the second concern, which is an explicit prophetic instruction. We will look at the exact wordings again, that a believer should not sit at a table where wine is being passed around. So we cannot wave the issues away by saying, well, I just drank my own orange juice. The Sharia takes the environment serious, not only the cup in your hand. Thirdly, and this is one that we must often we most often forget. This is the one we most often forget. And that is the opportunity. Because it's not mentioned in the hadith, and many of us don't see what we do as an opportunity. But there is an opportunity. So for many of our colleagues, many of our neighbors, especially for us living in the West, we are the Quran that they read every day. Our faces, our manners, our warmth at the table, in the way we relate with them, our absence from such an environment, it has an impact. It has an implication. Our presence has an implication. Our absence has an implication. So withdrawal is not something neutral. It's not something safe. It communicates something that is important, that we are either not interested in them or we don't give regards to the opportunity to contribute. Think about it. You sat down there and there was a question and you answered properly. Maybe about Islam, maybe about some other things. And you showed good mannerism. You gave food first to your neighbor. You poured your apple juice for your neighbor. You behaved very well and they could see, oh, this person actually has culture. The way we think about them, that they have no culture, they are just like animals, you neutralize that. You smell nice, you're smiling, and all of that. Somebody starts thinking, oh, wants to ask you some more questions, wants to get involved with you. Think about it. If such a person then gets to hear again that, oh, those people, they are like this, he's going to step up and say, I don't think so. Have you related with one of them? Have you sat with any of them before? I'll suggest you go and sit with them. I'll suggest you go and understand them, because if you do, you won't say what you have said. How much more? What if one of them accepts Islam as a result of your own intervention, of just merely interacting with you? Think about that person accepting Islam, their children, their great-grandchildren, and all of those become Muslim as a result of your interaction or intervention. So it's an opportunity. We often forget that this opportunity is as important as the issue about the gathering or the issue about what is on the table. So the real question tonight is not simply, may I go? It is, what does going or staying away accomplish for my iman, for my family, and for the message of Islam in this society, in this community? That really is the question. So one of the disciplines I've learned, and recently, myself and our Amir, Dr. Balogun, we went to attend a presentation by Nuruddin Lemu, and his approach is regarding this issue of Sharia intelligence, putting Sharia intelligence at work. This is not about arguing about the rulings before we define our terms. It's not about making a simple decision. It is pondering over why there's a ruling, what is the implication of that ruling, why that ruling is in place, what is the implication, or what are the other options that we have regarding such a ruling. So it's important to define the terms or understand the wordings that are used so that it can help us in understanding what the ruling is then about. So there are 5 words in the hadith that we need to examine. The first one is al-Ma'idah, is the dining table or the spread of food. In Arabic, it actually means a physical table or the spread of food. If you read Surah Al-Baqarah, sorry, not Surah Al-Baqarah, I think there's a surah in the Quran called Surah Al-Ma'idah, by the way. So Allah said he descended food, okay, for the children of Bani Israel. And I believe one of the words used is Ma'idah, okay? The food spread for them. So this is the precise word in the hadith, Ma'idah, and it holds onto it, because let's hold on to that word, because it will ask, we will ask questions about that people never ask. Is the Maida the piece of furniture, or is it an event? And that answer changes everything. The second word is akul jar, which is the right of your neighbor. In our religion, in our deen, this is binding. There is a binding right. It's not just about being pleasant. The text extends explicitly to all neighbors, whether they are Muslim or they are not Muslim. In another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, your neighbors are 40 houses to your right, 40 houses to your left, 40 houses in front of you, 40 houses at the back of yours. That's the Prophet defining the neighborhood for us, the people that we have to treat very well. The closer to you, their houses are to you, the more responsibility you have towards them. The third word there is iqrar. This means endorsement, tacit technical endorsement. This is the I only drank my juice does not close the discussion. No. You have tacitly endorsed the gathering if you attend the gathering. You have tacitly accepted the premise or the discussion being had on the table if you keep quiet. So this is a very fundamental aspect of our deen, what we endorse, what we do not endorse. So the Sharia recognizes that comfortability, silent presence, as a sin is being committed, it amounts to approving of that sin. That is the genuine concern behind the hadith. That is why that hadith is in place, that whoever believes in Allah on the last day would not sit at a table where alcohol is being served. And we must respect that. We cannot just wish it away. Then the next word is maslaha. Maslaha means real, waitable public benefit. If you hear scholars talk about the maslaha, it's what's the benefit? What's public benefit? Social value of something. So this is not about, oh, it suits me, I will attend. If it doesn't suit me, I won't attend. It's not just about you. It's not just about what suits you. It's about, does your presence bring public benefit or not? Sorry. Oh. Okay. And the last one is the Maqasid of Sharia. The Maqasid of Sharia is called the higher objective, that every ruling exists to protect something. That is, in Islam, every ruling, every fatwa has a purpose. The scholars would find out what is the purpose behind that ruling, behind that fatwa, behind that hadith. When you understand the ruling, when you understand the purpose that it was trying to achieve, then you will be able to then extract more principles from it. You'll be able to then apply it in situations that you don't, that you find yourself situations that are new, that was never predicted. So Sharia intelligence means that we are asking every ruling, what is the protection? And how do I honor that protection in my context? So, and for as well, we are thinking about what is that protection? What does it mean in today's world in 2026? So with these 5 tools in our hand, let us look at the evidence. So the Quran on neighbors, Surah An-Nisa, Ayah 36, Allah says, Allah commands excellence to the neighbor, the distance, or the neighbor that is a stranger. So a neighbor that is far away or a neighbor that is closer by, or that is a stranger. And listen to this phrase. While listening to this phrase, It's a sahib al-janb, who is a companion, sorry, a companion at your side. So this is another phrase used in the Quran. A sahib bil janb is a companion by your side. So some scholars said, the Mufassir, they also said this refers to, as well, to extends to the travelers. When you are traveling, people who are sitting around you, traveling together. People are in your company while you are traveling together. So this refers to them as well as your neighbors who are strangers. So the colleague that is your colleague at work forms part of people within your neighborhood. Second, the hadith at the center of this discussion says it is not lawful for a man who believes in Allah and the last day to sit at the table upon which khamru is being circulated. So we have looked at the word the table and the yaduru, that wine being circulated. So we have to always keep this in mind. And thirdly, the Quranic principle in ayah 140, Surah An-Nisa, again, Allah's signs are being mocked. Allah says, when his signs are being mocked, okay, move away from them. Atta yakudu fi hadithin ghairihi, until they move to a different topic. If some people are having discussions and they are mocking Allah or the signs of Allah, stand up, let them know. Sorry, I can't be part of this discussion. When you get to the next topic, please call me. I'll just be in that corner, or I'm going to take refresh myself. I'm just going outside. This Quranic ayah is indicating that we must show disapproval. We must show that we are not happy when Allah is being mocked or when something is being said. These are guidance to teach us how to moderate with non-believers or with careless believers. So the Quran teaches us that presence is judged by what is actually happening, not by the postcode of the building or what else. So these texts are real and they express real concerns for us. So, and how do the jurists deal with these texts? Okay, so this slide here is the map drawn from the book of the Fiqh of Muslim Minority. And I want you to notice something before we read any of the rules there. The same invitation produces different rulings depending on the circumstances and intention. So this is not a weakness in the fiqh. It is part of the versatility of the fiqh as well as the precision of the fiqh. You know, in the scholars, they are usually very, very expressive, very predictive. While they approach some topics from the general perspective, they also then drill down to say, if the situation is like this is how we do. If the situation is like this is our approach to the various situations. So let's walk through this quickly. So if wine is confirmed and you have no realistic dawah purpose, you have to decline that invitation gracefully. You know that there's not going to be opportunity for you to say anything there or for you to have a meaningful discussion. Maybe it's somebody who is going to speak throughout that they are not inviting any sort of discussion, and wine is being presented, and after that talk you are going. There's no dawah opportunity. Yeah, you should decline it. So the hadith at the center stays as it is. That hadith that we're looking at, you take it literally as it is. If there's a genuine dawah benefit, your neighbor is warming up to you, is asking you a few questions about Islam, your colleagues are interested, when there is a news, they ask you questions about Islam, and this occasion will require some networking, getting to know people and people getting to know you. And and you know that your own iman is secured, you trust yourself, you know that I won't drink alcohol, nobody can convince me to abandon Islam, you are sure of yourself, you have some training, you are well equipped to answer questions, the jurists, the scholars would say your attendance is excused. You are excused and you are allowed to attend such a gathering. Because the legal maxim at work here is the lesser harm may be tolerated to secure a greater good. But note the conditions. You have genuine benefit here. You have secured iman, faith, and this is an exception with a gate, not an open field. It's an exception for you. It is not an open permission to attend all events. It's an exception. Think about yourself, think about the environment, think about the opportunity, and you are equipped to deal with it. Then you are allowed, you are excused, you should go to such a gathering. If you fear for your own faith, if the environment will pull you away, if you could easily get, convinced, you don't trust yourself, you could easily, Shaitan's whisper could easily make you, do something that you really don't want to do, then it is obligatory on you to decline and not go there. So if wine is merely suspected, that means if you are not sure that there will be wine there, you know that, well, these people, they might bring wine there. Suspicion does not create a ruling in our faith. Therefore, forget about your suspicion, you can attend. If it is an ordinary gathering with no wine, go and be the best guest that you have ever had to be. If you attend and simply do not drink, the scholar says that alone is not sufficient, because the iqrar, the risk that comfortable presence reads as an endorsement of what is happening around you. They say, even Ustadh Shamsideen was there. Everything was nice. Come again, come next year. You shouldn't miss that opportunity. And they have cited you as an evidence, as a kind of your presence is an endorsement of such an event. Then tactically, somebody might be attending in future because of you. And that is why we need to be careful about it. And this section that I love most, you may simply request in advance that you really don't want to attend because there's going to be wine. Unless, of course, let's make it wine-free. You suggest that to your neighbor. If you are bold enough, suggest it to your neighbor to say, I don't attend such events because, alcohol, people could say things, I don't feel comfortable sitting around there. I might just take a pass, unless if you guarantee that there's no alcohol there. And that, you are passing a message. You are sending a message. If it's really important that you should be there and your neighbor wants you there, and you could just think about, you know what? Let's have it alcohol free for the first time, Yeah, that's okay. Come around. Then you are already passing a message, and I believe that is good. You are being honest, you are being warm, and you are respecting your host. So now let's move on to this question. And almost nobody, when I was researching this, nobody actually asked if, is this the table? But I found out that some of the scholars in the past have actually also addressed that this issue about whether it is literally a table that the Prophet was talking about, or it is symbolic of the event. So the Hanafi jurists, by and large, they read the literally. The Ma'idah is a physical table at which alcohol is being passed. So In their ruling, a Muslim sitting at a separate table, an alcohol-free table, in the same hall is simply outside of the hadith wording, according to some section of the Hanafi jurists. They take the hadith as literal. So proximity to the sin may be a makruh. It may be disliked, but it is not haram going by this hadith. The second reading that I've read on this is the Shafi and the Hanbalis. They tend to see this broadly. The table is a synecdoche for the gathering. If drinking is what the occasion is about, that means it is actually an occasion about drinking, having fun, having a nice time. That's the purpose. Let's go out to have fun. According to them, whether you move the chair to another table or you Muslims gather yourself on one side, it doesn't matter. The gathering itself is about, let's go and have a drink. Let's drink to our stupor. Let's, have this fun. But if the context is something else that is halal, then there is no there's no sin if you attend. Another reading that I found there's a comment by Ibn Qayyum. He separates the majlis al-khamru, that means the gathering of alcohol. He separates it as a drinking event, where the drinking is the point, from the majlis fihi khamru. That means a gathering where there is just drink. So it is forbidden. So in this, the gathering at which drink happens to be present. So that is the one where there's just drink there. So the first one is forbidden because the gathering is for hamru. And the second, where there just happens to be alcohol, is not forbidden. And I think many of us will find ourselves in this situation. I've attended nikah or walima, wedding, where the family did not provide alcohol. But some group of friends, they had alcohol in their car, they had their own table, and they were bringing alcohol, put it on the table, and they're having their own fun. But that gathering, the organizers did not bring alcohol. And therefore, there's no blame on you as a Muslim. It just happened that some people just happened to bring a drink there. The purpose is not to have alcohol. That is the intention. And therefore, you don't need to leave the place. You don't need to fight those people. Allah just happened to, make them a fitna for you at that event. So now that our lives, let's apply this to our lives. When your colleague wants to do a retirement, where wine sits on the bar at the far end, while people give speeches about 30 years of service, 40 years of service, who he is, remember fun things about their past. This is not a drinking party. Your neighbor's summer barbecue, where most guests hold a beer, but the purpose is community enhancement. I shouldn't say most guests, maybe some guests hold a can of beer, but we know that the purpose is just for the community, is not regarded as a majlis al-khamru, a gathering of alcohol. The Sharia is intelligent enough to know the difference, and we should also know that difference. So we stop asking the question, what is the ruling? We now ask the question, what is the ruling for? So the ruling is to protect our faith, our deen. This is unquestionably what their deeds protects. Don't forget, those Muslims used to drink, and the Prophet had to put his feet down, bam, to stop people from drinking. And they had to be very firm. Don't drink, alcohol is haram. Don't go to where they are serving alcohol. Don't go to pubs. Don't go to alcohol centers. Don't go to places where they have dedicated to having fun with alcohol. That is the intention of this hadith, to protect our faith, to transform the Muslims, those particularly those Muslims who used to have a past with alcohol. The environment then is different from the environment where we are. Although we need to shield ourselves and our children from the tendencies in our environment, okay? And that's why this hadith is still applicable, but we have to look at it differently. You have to look at our situation and consider the other question about dawah. And so, talking about dawah, it is not as if we're giving ourselves a loophole. Yeah, just go there, carry some leaflets, distribute some leaflets. Yeah, you have done your dawah, then go and have your fun. That legalize that ruling for you. No, that's not the intention here. So Sheikh Yusuf Al-Qaradawi, in the book that I mentioned, Fiqh for Muslim Minority, and Sheikh Taha Jabir Al-Awani, they both agreed that defining a duty of a Muslim minority is shahada. That means witnessing to Islam through our character. That is the defining responsibility of Muslim minority. It is holding on to our shahada and letting it show in our character. In fact, Al-Awani went as far as saying that the fiqh position, which makes Muslims appear hostile, disengaged, and actively those rulings that makes a Muslim appears hostile and disengaged, those rulings actively contradict the maqasid of the Sharia, the purpose of the Sharia. Furthermore, the removal of hardship is an important concept in Islamic Sharia. You are removing hardship is an important concept in the way we live our life. So Ibn Ashur, he placed this among the great objectives. And I should say a special word for our reverted brothers and sisters. They are living a different experience from most of us. Most of us, we have trained ourselves not to drink alcohol. Many of our friends and families don't drink alcohol. This question might be very easy for us. What about those who have reverted to Islam? They have families and friends. We are not telling them to abandon their families completely. We are not telling them not to go for their annual, Christmas meetup with their families and all that. So we must always remember that there are other people whose context, whose situation is different from our own. So when people ask you questions about, this sort of questions, please don't no knee-jerk reaction by saying haram, haram, haram. Think carefully. This has implication on people's lives. We go to our families, we have nice social events. Some of these reverts, they get cut off from their families, and we are not inviting them to our homes. We are not making them part of our families. You need to listen to some of these revert stories to know that, look, we are being unfair if we are not giving fatwas, we are not giving rulings that is sensible, that is contextual, that will make their life easy for them and make their faith also easy for them. So the Sharia sees that hardship that people in situations like this might face. And Allah's method, especially when we look at the prohibition of alcohol, Allah is teaching us a method. How was alcohol prohibited in Islam? It was prohibited in 3 stages over a number of years. So Allah first said, "Oh, alcohol is bad. There's good in it, but there's bad in it." And then, oh, okay, there's bad in it. Okay, I won't drink. Well, I was still drinking. I'll drink a little. Then Allah came and said, look, if you drink, don't go for your salah. Don't go and pray salah because you are drinking, you are smelling of alcohol, you don't know what you are saying properly. So, yeah, if you don't drink, if you drink, don't go and pray, don't go for salah. And then Allah brought in to say, from this moment on, alcohol is a haram. Don't drink it, don't go near it. And then the prophet said, whoever drinks alcohol, this will happen to them. Who are those who are guilty of alcohol? There are 10 categories of people who are sinful when it comes to alcohol. And that the prophet listed those 10 categories. So we know that the prohibition is gradual. So even in our situation, we have to understand the gradualism has to be applicable. In the situation of reverts, who still have family members, who still have to attend their cousins and nieces and nephews' events and important aspects of their life, we have to be considerate. You are not telling them to separate themselves completely from families and from their responsibilities. I mean, a quick one, when Ali's father, Abu Talib, died, Ali was standing with the prophet. He wanted to go and bury his dad, but he felt his dad died as a non-Muslim. The prophet has not said he is going to bury him. So why should me, Ali, go? So Ali was standing there. And the Prophet ﷺ told him, said, Ali, go and bury your father, even though he's a non-Muslim. You have responsibilities towards your families, and rivers have responsibilities towards their families. We have, for a long time, people have been encouraged to cut off their family ties, and Islam prohibits cutting off family ties. Family ties is so important in Islam. Finally, a fiqh demands instant and total social severance, is asking people what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not ask, even at the revelation of the prohibition itself. We can't have such a fiqh in our environment, a fiqh that encourages total social severance. No, we can't. So what does all this look like on a Saturday evening for you in Britain, where you have been asked to attend an event? Theory must be put into practice. So here is a protocol that I personally use myself. I call it the principled appearance. 5 steps. Step 1, communicate early. I let such invitation, unfortunately, I won't be able to attend as early as possible. Even group, when we used to have Christmas lunch at work, and I know they're going to the pub, they used to go to the pub in some places I've worked. I used to tell them early, I'm sorry, Chris, that period, I'm off. I'm not available at all. And I will book my holiday during that period so that I don't have to attend such a thing, because I know at that time that I'm not able to communicate anything. And also, whatever some of my colleagues want to know about Islam, I'm already doing it and telling them. So that is not going to create a unique opportunity for me. So the first thing is I communicate early. If I want to attend, which I've done with Christmas dinner, first of all, I encourage them to call it end of the year dinner instead of Christmas dinner. I encourage such. So at the planning stage, and especially since I became a manager, part of those who are planning such event, encourage that we don't call it Christmas dinner. Let's call it end of the year dinner so that it can be accommodating for everybody. Even there are some British people who don't want to do anything with Christmas. And also, I also select places where there might not be alcohol. Okay. And we put it during the lunch time so that we go and we come back instead of at the end of the day where they might be encouraged to take alcohol. So we do it during lunchtime. We get 2 hours lunch for Christmas period. So we book it then. Everybody goes and they won't take alcohol because they're coming back to the office. So yeah, we communicate early. If you are going to make changes, if you are going to address issues, do everything early. Step 2, if it is an invitation by your neighbor or a retirement parties, try and take a gift. with you, because the Prophet said, Tahadu, Tahabu. When you give gifts, it spread loves. So it spread love. So a box of date or flour or something thoughtful, it's encouraged. Take it there because it's kind of show some love and respect, as well as in line with cultural expectation. Step 3, be fully present, okay? But brief. So I've attended such an event, get involved. Everybody, nobody will forget that I wasn't there. But then give my excuse and leave on time because I have other engagement I need to attend. So maybe as we eat, after the food, I leave before people settle down to start taking alcohol. Step 4 is on the way out, the honest word of appreciation, or sorry guys, I need to go. I'm very grateful that I attended this. It's been a very lovely sandwich, lovely food, etc. Thank you very much. I genuinely love to be here. You may have noticed I stayed off the wine side, that's because of my faith. I really appreciate you making space for us to have this event. So what I've done is like a sandwich, very happy, positive, then put in this issue about alcohol, it's about my faith, and then thank everybody again. This is a very useful space. I've enjoyed myself. I've used the opportunity to pass a little nasiha at such a gathering. And step 5, you leave graciously before the drink starts and before maybe they intend to have music and dance and all that. And you don't want a situation where you are caught up dancing with other people's wives or whatever. So, final slide. 1, your neighbor's invitation is a right to be honored and an opportunity to be used. It is not a trap to be feared. Allah put that non-Muslim neighbor in your life deliberately. 2, the hadith of the table of wine is real, and we do not explain it away. Never allow yourself to become the furniture in a gathering whose purpose is sinful, is sin. Number 3, be intelligent about the differences between a drinking party and a party where drink happens to be present. Judge the purpose very well. Judge the purpose of the gathering very well, and then judge your own purpose in attending. Both purposes matter. Number 4, communicate early, come bearing gifts, engage warmly, speak your truth wrapped in gratitude, and live graciously. When done that way, an ordinary invitation becomes an act of worship and a seed of dawah. The Prophet ﷺ lived beside neighbors who did not share his faith. He ate with them, he received them, he honored them, and history records history record what he achieved with such an excellent character. I close with this verse that captures the whole essence of this discussion. This is the method of Sharia intelligence. Our Lord, make us among those who listen to what is said and follow the best of it. Allahumma hamid. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Jazakallahu khairan for that reminder. Very explicit and quite deep as well. Quite deep insights and